Hello everyone, this is part 1 of What If Naruto Was a Jonin Sensei. This story is made by czgohan, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. It was getting late in the afternoon and Naruto was making his way to the normal spot for dinner, Ichiraku. Unfortunately for him, tonight's date with ramen wasn't destined to happen as he was approached by Shikamaru and Neji in the middle of the street. Naruto, the Hokage has summoned us, explained Neji. Naruto's stomach protested violently as he followed along. The ramen would have to wait. The three of them stood in front of Tsunade's desk, waiting for her to tell them why they were there. Come on Tsunade-Barkan, what sort of mission do you have for us now? Asked Naruto. A vein nearly popped in Tsunade's temple. She could handle the Barkan comment in a more private scenario, but with other ninja present, it just wasn't appropriate. Tsunade took a deep breath, calming herself before addressing the team standing in front of her. Since the invasion by the Sound and the Sand, there have been efforts to reforge the ties that have been broken between Konoha and Suna. We are beginning an initiative to perform joint missions where each village sends a team and the two teams work together to accomplish the same goal. However, these missions will only involve affairs that are not directly related to the security of the other village. The mission I am assigning to the three of you is one of the joint missions. The three of you are to rendezvous with the Suna team in the village of Takenabi on the morning of October 16th, 3 days from now. Your teams will then proceed to the village of Ojikana where recent bandit activity has taken a serious increase. Your mission will be to determine the problems caused by these bandits and once that is done, eliminate them. What kind of bandits are we talking about? Asked Shikamaru, wanting to gather as much necessary information as possible. From the reports we received, these bandits have little to no shinobi training, with the strongest being no more than low genin in skill. A team consisting of a chunin and 2 higher skilled genin should have no problems here, not to mention you will be receiving support from Suna. Tsunade-Barkan, who is Suna sending anyways? Asked Naruto. Once again, Tsunade cringed slightly at the Barkan part. I do not know exactly for sure, but they will only send a 3-man team, with no one above the rank of chunin, explained Tsunade. Now, before you are dismissed, this is an important mission in terms of the impact it could have on the relations between our two villages. I expect nothing less than your best and full cooperation with the Suna team. Shikamaru, you are assigned as team leader. Don't worry Barkan, you can count on us. Tsunade was getting pretty close to the breaking point, sending a slight death glare towards Naruto. Dismissed. Now get this brat out of my office before he says the word, Barkan, again. Barked Tsunade as Neji dragged Naruto out by the collar of his jacket. Now, Kakashi had been late before but this was just getting plain ridiculous. It was around 1 o'clock in the afternoon when they were given a break for lunch, which would last until 2 o'clock. For Team 7, this would mean that Kakashi wouldn't show up until 3 o'clock or even 4 o'clock. However, it was nearly 7 o'clock in the evening and Sasuke and Sakura had been waiting for hours for Kakashi to show up with the new jutsus he promised. Finally, they gave up and went back into town, figuring that sitting around wasn't getting them anywhere. It was getting dark as well and Sakura knew her parents would be wondering where she was, considering today wasn't a mission day for her. Hey guys, so what sort of jutsu did Kakashi-sensei give you? Asked Naruto, who ran into them on the way to finally get his ramen. Sakura and Sasuke gave Naruto a good long stare. And where have you been this afternoon? Picking up some of Kakashi-sensei's habits already? Asked Sakura. Naruto looked at her with a confused expression on his face. Well, Barkan kind of gave me a mission and I just got back from the equipment store, explained Naruto. Wait, you have a mission? With who? Asked Sasuke. He was now wondering why Naruto had gotten a mission by the rest of them hadn't. Yeah, it's me, Shikamaru, and Neji. We leave tomorrow for a town known as Takenabi Town in the Land of Rivers. I don't know, sounds like there has been a lot of bandit activity there or something, explained Naruto. Sasuke simply nodded, now hoping he would get a mission as well, hoping it would give him a chance to test out some of the improvements he made to his taijutsu after the training with his own shadow clones. Takenabi town, I've heard that name before and just recently. Naruto suddenly realized what it was that he was talking about and reached into his back pouch, pulling out the dark blue book that was his ramen passport. He flipped to a page and there it was, Takenabi Ramen, one of the 50 ramen shops that had some sort of special ramen dishes. He was really looking forward to this mission now, considering that Takenabi town was less than a 2-day journey, for ninja anyways, which he happened to be one, and he would easily be able to stop there the night before they were supposed to meet with the Suna team. Upon hearing their teammates' cheers, Sakura and Sasuke nearly faltered and a familiar laugh was heard from behind them. Haku! Naruto and Sakura shouted in unison. This was the first time in over a month that they had seen their fourth teammate. From the stories they had, he and Zabuza had been away on a mission during that time. Despite being assigned to Team 7 and Zabuza made a Chunin of the village, hopefully a Jonin with the upcoming Jonin exams in a few months, the village had quickly acknowledged the bond between the two former Rouge ninjas. It's a good thing I found you so soon. Suna wanted us to report to her in the morning for a mission, explained Haku. By them, he meant himself, Sakura, and Sasuke. Naruto had already been given a mission. Unfortunately, this meant that they would have to wait on getting their new jutsu from Kakashi. For Haku, Sakura, and Sasuke, their mission was to travel to a gold mine, just on the northern border of the Land of Fire and to guard a shipment of gold ore as the caravan traveled from the mine to the refinement facility, about a 2 days journey away. As it stood, most of Naruto's friends, including himself, now had their own set of C-rank missions that they were expected to handle without the help of their senseis. Team 8 had actually been assigned AB rank, although they were accompanied by their Jonin sensei, and Naruto was hoping Hinata would be alright. Seeing as this was their first time together in a few weeks, the 4 members of Team 7 went to the barbecue restaurant that Haku had really taken a liking to. It was beginning to seem like he would eat there almost as much as Chuji, although the quantity of food was nowhere near Chuji level. Shikamaru, Neji, and Naruto set out late in the morning, after the 2 genin on the team were forced to drag Shikamaru out of bed. Unlike Naruto, who had to deal with this type of behavior from Kakashi, Neji was not used to a late member of his team. As a Hoiga, he had been taught that punctuality was an important virtue to have. Also, he was used to Guy Sensei having more energy than Naruto at times, if that was even possible. However, it wasn't until Shikamaru's mother came and dragged him out of the house that they were finally able to be on their way, earning a few snickers from Naruto and possibly a smile from Neji. The first day's journey was rather uneventful with the group stopping to set up camp just before dark. Being Shikamaru, he decided to turn in early so that he could manage to get plenty of sleep, leaving Neji and Naruto to man the camp. Neji decided now was the time to discuss a few things with Naruto. Naruto, I want to say that I am glad that you and Hinata-sama are together, he said, initially catching Naruto's attention. However, I have to warn you to be careful. Oh, don't worry, I won't do anything dishonorable, if that's what you mean, replied Naruto. I wish that was it. I wish the only thing the two of you had to worry about was my uncle, but sadly that is not the case, replied Neji. What are you talking about? While I don't know why, you have never been looked highly upon in my clan. It's surprising that my uncle even allowed you to train with Hinata in the first place. However, there are those in the main branch, particularly the elder that would strongly oppose any sort of relationship you have with Hinata-sama, explained Neji. Naruto knew why the elders didn't like him. It was the same reason most of the villagers didn't like him, the Kyuubi. My uncle is doing his best to keep the elders at bay, otherwise they would have had their way with Hinata-sama years ago. What do you mean by their way? Naruto asked, picking up on the ominous tone in Neji's voice. Neji looked down and untied the headband on his head, revealing his curse mark. You don't mean? Yes. For years, the elders have felt that she was unworthy and wanted to just brand her into a branch house immediately. However, the fact that Hinata is the oldest and the current heir is mainly what had prevented them. They have been trying to convince my uncle to name her sister, Hanabi, as the heir, but Hiashi-sama has yet to actually choose the heir. And in reality, he doesn't need to make the decision until Hinata turns 16. So why doesn't he just name Hinata the heir and stick it to the elder's face? Asked Naruto, growing slightly more irritated. Because, if Hinata becomes is officially named the clan heir, then Hanabi-sama gets branded, said Neji, causing Naruto to tense up. If it's really that bad, then I'm determined more than ever to change your clan when I become Hokage. Databio, exclaimed Naruto. Neji just shook his head. By the time you become Hokage, it will be too late for one of them. By then, either Hinata or Hanabi will have been branded. Besides, my uncle is already looking into a few ways to change the clan already. He has always been against the clan in terms of some of its ancient traditions, and just recently, he has begun opposing the practice of the branding. However, he holds little power in the clan over the sealing of branch members. The only people he has control over are Hinata and Hanabi, and he can only choose one to not be branded. In other words, he's buying for time, said Shikamaru, coming out of the tent. Apparently, Naruto's yelling had woke him up. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. Neji on the other hand, nodded with Shikamaru's deduction. He has until Hinata turns 16 to make the final decision on who will be the clan heir. Shikamaru is correct, he's trying to buy as much time as possible, said Neji. Naruto still didn't fully understand and asked Neji why. Neji pointed at his seal. As of now, this seal is impossible to remove. It is so ingrained into our brain that even the slightest modification to the seal could leave us permanently disabled or s. What? Said Naruto, a little in shock. He wasn't fully aware on what Neji was talking about, however he had overheard a little on the complexity of the brain from Suna when she was waking Sasuke and Kakashi. Hearing that only resulted in him having a headache. However, he knew at least that the brain was incredibly complex and something on this magnitude couldn't be good. As of now, the only way to remove the seal is through death. I have already told you that, said Neji. Naruto thought back to his fight against Neji, back when Neji was still a prick with a stick shoved up his a. However, there is hope. This was something Naruto had never thought he would hear Neji talk about, although it was strangely comforting. Before I say anything, please promise me not to tell anyone. The only others who know about this are my uncle and your teacher, Jiraiya-sama. Wait, what does Ero Sennin have to do with this? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya-sama was my uncle's teacher and he is the greatest seal master known in the shinobi nations. Before you and Hinata-sama left to find Tsunade-sama, my uncle gave Jiraiya the sealing formula for the caged bird seal and asked him to find a way to remove it without harming the bearer. I have hope that one day he will succeed and the clan will truly change. If you want to help change my clan, then help your master find a way to remove the seal. Once that factor is out of the question, then real change can begin. But wait, if you remove the seal, what would stop them from putting the seal on you again? Asked Naruto. Neji thought for a moment. There exists an ancient law in the clan that states that the heads of the clan are to be the strongest shinobi in the clan. This led to the implementation of the clan challenge, where any member of the clan could challenge one of the heads, either clan head or elder, for their position. While the elders and my uncle are considered the strongest in the clan, the main reason they have not been challenged is because of the seal. What does the seal have to do with this clan challenge thing? Asked Naruto. The last time the challenge was issued was about 8 years ago. I was only 5, but I remember that horrific event all too well, said Neji, preparing to tell his story. The challenger was a member of the branch family by the name of Rajo. He was tired of the servitude forced upon the branch families by the main branch. One afternoon, about 2 days after his first child was born, he approached the elders, asking for them not to seal his newly born son, at least not until he was older. The seal has been known to cause complications if placed on a person less than 3 years in age. The elders simply laughed at his request and his son was branded the following evening. About a month later, the child s from complications most likely due to the seal. Naruto was at a loss for words. Even Shikamaru was listening and was stunned as well. Neji continued. The day following his son's death, Rajo issued a challenge to Moriko, one of the elders of the clan. If he could win, then he would be able to take Moriko's position as an elder of the clan, making his family now part of the main branch and the fear of being sealed would be ended. But wait, you said the seal couldn't be removed, wouldn't Rajo still have the seal if he had won? Asked Shikamaru. Wouldn't that make it easy to manipulate him? Yes, but there are specific rules that the clan had set up with the village in this case. Basically, it was against the law and punishable by death if a main family member ever used the seal against another main family member, said Neji. All Rajo would have to do is go to the Hokage. If by chance he were K before he was able to inform the Hokage, a very thorough investigation would have been conducted and the ones responsible would have been caught. However, Rajo did not win. The challenge was set for 1 week from the issue of the challenge, giving the two time to prepare. The day that the challenge was to be held, Rajo and Moriko met in the arena set up by the clan. The rules were simple: fight until one either S or gives up. Their fight began and Rajo started off, showing even more determination than you did on the day we fought, Naruto. He quickly gained the upper hand, easily overpowering Moriko. Many of the branch members were on their feet, believing that the day would finally come that the oppressiveness of the main branch would come to an end with Rajo as one of the elders. However, before he could deliver the finishing blow, Moriko made the hand seal and activated Rajo's seal. After a few minutes of screaming in unbearable pain, Rajo dropped to the ground. No one has issued a challenge since then, afraid that the seal would be used against them and they would lose, no matter what. Silence was heard throughout the camp. No one speaking a word as Neji's tale came to an end. Inside his head, Naruto could feel his inner demon's rage boiling over. To win a battle such as that using cheap tactics like that, was just plain sickening. Even amongst demons, there was honor. In the situation Moriko was in, if he was a demon, he would either concede and flee or allow himself to be K, not activate some disgusting seal. He was already plotting the Hyuga man's demise should Naruto ever give him the slightest chance to. Shikamaru was thinking. I see. So if that seal can be removed, you or another branch member can challenge for the position of clan elder in the main branch and not have to worry. Yes, that is correct. My uncle is aware of this as well, and it is part of his plan to loosen the elders' grips on the dealings of the clan, said Neji. Naruto looked at Neji with some slight confusion still. You need not worry, but just know that it was because of the elders and their policies that my clan is in the state it's in. Naruto got that determined look in his eye. Well, if that's the case then, I'll find a way to get rid of that seal and then you can show those damn elders who's boss. After that, we'll be able to change the clan for the better. Databio. Neji smiled. Thank you, Naruto. Nothing more was said that night and the three turned in, continuing on their way in the morning. They were less than a day from Takenabi town and they would be most likely arrive just in time for dinner. Naruto already knew where he was going, Takenabi ramen. Before leaving, he had triple-checked that he had the passport on him and he was finally going to taste one of those special dishes. The night before they left, Naruto had made up his mind and informed Tsuki of his decision to save Ichiraku for last as it was customary that the passport was put on display at the ramen shop where it was completed. As soon as they reached town, a faint aroma of ramen hit Naruto's nose and he darted off towards the location of the stand, leaving Neji and Shikamaru behind. Naruto arrived at the shop. It was about 3 times larger than Ichiraku's and it was packed. Thankfully, Naruto found a seat next to a brown-haired man, probably in his mid-20s, at the ramen bar. I'll be with you in 1 minute, kid, said the chef as he places a bowl in front of the man that he had just sat next to. Taking a look at the man, Naruto made out the grass headband. Naruto's attention was then directed towards the bowl of ramen placed in front of the man. Naruto could make out what looked like white truffles and some other mushrooms in the ramen. However, after taking a whiff of the aroma from that one particular bowl, Naruto was practically mesmerized by it. Hey mister, said Naruto, tugging gently at the man. Huh, hey what do you want? Can't you see I'm trying to enjoy my ramen? Asked the man. Yeah, but I just wanted to know what was in there. Said Naruto. I could tell you, but it doesn't mean you will be getting any, said the man. Huh, why's that? Said Naruto. Because, you need one of these, said the man, holding up a blue book that Naruto instantly recognized. So that was the special dish of this stand. Oh, you mean this? Said Naruto, pulling out his own passport, nearly causing the man to choke on his own ramen as the shop owner just laughed. Well, I'll be 2 in 1 night. Normally it's rare to see 2 every couple months, but 2 in 1 night, so I guess you're here for the Matsutake truffle ramen, said the head chef. Is that your special dish? Asked Naruto. It is. The same this gentleman next to you is enjoying. The man sitting next to him had gotten over the initial shock of seeing Naruto's passport and had begun indulging himself. Just looking at him, you would think the man had just found heaven. He was in pure bliss as he slurped down the ramen. The climate around here is rather moist and mushrooms are common sights in the forest. These white truffles and the matsutake mushroom, however, are the rarest and most delicious. The dish I'm preparing for you contains both of them, along with some other mushrooms and spices to enhance the flavors. Geez Naruto, only you would go running off towards a ramen shop, said Shikamaru as he and Neji tracked down their estranged teammate. Shikamaru was going to complain more, but it would have been too much, not to mention his stomach had also begun to protest and the two remaining leaf ninja quickly found themselves sitting next to Naruto as they ordered a bowl of ramen as well. The time finally came when the chef set the bowl in front of Naruto. Before doing so, he checked the legitimacy of Naruto's passport, finding it to be real and in Naruto's name. The bowl was placed in front of Naruto's face and his first instincts were to inhale the entire contents of the bowl, however, something in his head was stopping him from inhaling it. It was telling him to savor this delicacy and eat it slow, something Naruto was still unfamiliar with. Hey kid, first thing you have to do is take that white truffle and put it on a plate. That is the last thing you want to eat as that's the best part, explained the man sitting next to him. And sorry for acting rude earlier. It's just something about these dishes. You get others nagging at you for a taste. That goes against everything these dishes were set aside for, only the most dedicated ramen connoisseurs could truly enjoy them, not to mention it's just plain annoying. Naruto accepted the man's apology and did as he was told, removing the single white truffle that had been placed in the bowl and setting it to the side for the end. He took a few noodles and a piece of the matsutake with his chopsticks and took his first bite. He could right now and he wouldn't care. In fact, he could let the QB out on a rampage through the village and he wouldn't care. The ramen was just too damn good for him to care about anything else at that moment. Naruto ate the remainder of the bowl slowly, savoring every bit of flavor that flooded his system. Then finally, the time came. Naruto finished off the remaining broth and moved on to the final part, the white truffle. He picked it up with his chopsticks and rubbed it around in what little broth was still remaining in the bowl and then went to eat it. The sweetness from the truffle perfectly balanced out the spices from the ramen, capping possibly the best bowl of ramen he ever had. If this was what the special bowls were like, he really couldn't wait to see what Chuki had concocted that had found its way into the passport. The chef handed Naruto back his passport with a stamp of the shop logo on the page and a small picture of Naruto taking his first bite of the ramen. He hadn't even noticed the camera as he was too distracted by the wonder that was ramen. Surprisingly, that one bowl had managed to fill him. He was known for eating over a dozen bowls before being filled at Ichiraku, but this one bowl had done it for him. Naruto prepared to pay the man for the bowl, but his money was turned away. Apparently, it was customary for the first bowl at each of the 50 shops to be free. After that, they would be able to buy any further bowls, although they would be expensive. The matsutake truffle ramen was about 5,000 ryo per bowl itself. The following day was the day they were supposed to meet up with the team from Suna. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Neji made their way towards the determined meeting place. As they got closer, Naruto could feel Kurama starting to tense up. Something was irritating the fox and as the Suna team came into view, Naruto realized what it was. Hello trouble, said Shikamaru as he spotted the Suna team as well. In front of them stood Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro, the same trio that they had met during the Chunin exams. Temari tensed a little seeing Naruto with them. She recalled the fight in the forest between Naruto and Gaara and how Naruto had taken on a shroud of demonic chakra that was strangely similar to that of the Shukaku's chakra inside her brother. Sorry we kept you waiting, said Neji, trying to be the first one to initiate conversation. That is quite all right. We only got here a few minutes ago. In fact, we were worried that we were going to be late, replied Gaara. It was odd to both Naruto and Shikamaru. There was no intent coming from Gaara at all. In fact, he was completely calm and even Kurama had picked up on this. Had something happened to quell the Ichibi? Both teams were on the guard, weary of one another as they proceeded to the town in the north where their mission was supposed to be. Finally breaking the silence, Temari spoke up. So Shikamaru is it? She said towards Shikamaru. The lazy Chunin just nodded. I see you made it out of the exams as a Chunin. Man, what a drag. I didn't want her to be here, he thought. You know that was never my intention. Temari looked at the Nara with confusion. If I had it my way, I would never have even taken the exams. I just wanted a normal ninja life and to play shogi. But then my sensei made my team take the exams, and the next thing I know, I'm facing you in the finals. About that, you had me beat. Why did you just give up like that? She asked. I told you. It would have been too troublesome to have any more fights, said Shikamaru. Besides, apparently that one fight was enough to make me a chunin. On the bright side, at least I don't have to take those exams again. The teams reached the village of Ojikana late that afternoon. The first thing was to go to the village council and determine the situation. From the reports given by the villagers, bandits would normally come in late at night and kill them. To date, around 11 children had been killed. There hadn't been any ransoms for the children, so the villagers had no idea what had happened to the kids. Their only plan was to wait and see if any bandits would come along that night and try to kill one of the children. Shikamaru thought for a moment, eventually coming up with a plan. There were 3 roads out of the village and 6 of them. This meant that there would be 2 people assigned to each village exit. Now, Naruto had the ability to use shadow clones and he understood how they functioned. They decided to have Naruto make a mass of clones and have a clone stationed at each house where the K might strike, and a clone with each group to inform them when the bandits struck, as the clones' memories would be transferred back to the remaining clones. He stationed Naruto and Gaara at the north gate, Neji and Kankuro at the west gate, and Temari and himself would take the south gate. The east side of the village was up against a fast-moving river, so it was unlikely bandits would come from that direction. However, Shikamaru would rather be safe and figured Naruto could spare a few more clones to guard the river and any holes in the outer perimeter. Now, Shikamaru didn't want to catch these bandits right in the middle, he wanted to catch them at wherever they were holed up, with hopes of finding the hideout where the missing children were. It was getting dark and everyone took their place as the Naruto clones transformed into random inanimate objects to disguise themselves. Naruto himself was a little nervous having to be paired up with Gaara, as Kurama had been complaining for the past few hours about having to deal with Ichibi, although Gaara was showing no signs of that demon's be. Naruto, can I ask you something? Said Gaara, catching Naruto's attention. Naruto nodded, wondering what the fellow Jinchuriki had to say. You have a demon sealed inside you as well, don't you? Yeah, the Kyubi no Kitsune, said Naruto. What of it? You have the Ichibi sealed inside you, don't you? Gaara nodded. Your demon, does it ever talk to you? Asked Gaara. Well, yeah, although he can get annoying at times, we talk, said Naruto. Kurama protested at the annoying comment. I see. Is he like the Ichibi? Asked Gaara. Naruto didn't quite get what he meant. Gaara thought for a second. After that day where we fought, I've been thinking about something. Ever since I was young, I was alone. The only one who would talk to me was the Ichibi, and I slowly began to look at it as my mother. I cared for it and survived for it, thinking I was doing this for myself. What I'm trying to say, the Ichibi has been manipulating me since I was young. Has that ever happened to you? Has the demon inside you ever manipulated you to do something you regret? Huh, does that mean you regret what you've done? You regret all those people? Asked Naruto. Gaara just nodded. Ever since that day, I've been thinking that maybe there was a different way to live. Perhaps if I tried to get people to see me in a positive light, like the people you told me about, perhaps I can finally feel what it's like to live, said Gaara. Ever since then, I've been trying the best I can to block out the Ichibi and listen to my own thoughts. Naruto kind of smiled like this. Gaara wasn't a monster. The Ichibi made him the monster everyone thought he was. Then Gaara spoke again. So tell me, how do you block your demon's influence out? Naruto looked down. Unfortunately, he couldn't give Gaara the answer he wanted. I don't really know what to say. The Kyubi, Kurama I mean, and I get along rather well. We joke around, we laugh, we make fun of each other. To be honest, I actually see him as a friend, said Naruto. Gaara looked at him in shock. A friend? Yeah. I'm not really sure what to say, but he approached me one day and the two of us made a deal. Basically, I would help him kill a certain person and in exchange, he would help me, said Naruto. Gaara thought. This person the Kyubi wants, who is he? What is he like? Naruto thought for a moment. His name is Madara Uchiha. Gaara looked up, surprised at the name. Even in Suna, that name was known and feared. However, Madara was supposed to be S. Neither of us understands how he would still be alive, but we know he's alive and he's responsible for much misery that has been brought upon my village. I see, Gaara said, comprehending everything Naruto had said. So you're saying the Kyuubi doesn't try to manipulate you? No, not really, said Naruto. That was pretty much true, unless you count trying to hook him up with a certain vixen. Kurama did have a hand in pushing the two of them together. Naruto, do you think there's hope for me then? Do you think I will ever have a friend? Asked Gaara. Naruto was shocked by this new Gaara that he was facing. The cold K was gone and what was left was a lonely boy desperately trying to find a friend. He was sincere in changing himself for the better. Well yeah, everyone needs a friend. Hey, if you want, I'll even be your friend. Commence with idiot mode, thought Kurama. He didn't want to be associated with the Ichibi, but there really wasn't anything he could do to stop Naruto from being, well Naruto. You will, said Gaara. Yeah, and I'm sure your brother and sister would be your friends if you just tried. I mean, that's all you really got to do. Show them that they are important to you and they'll become your friends in no time, said Naruto getting a smile on his face. Naruto suddenly zoned out as a memory came to him. Gaara noticed the slight change in his expression. They're here, said Naruto as one of his clones relayed AK to him. All around the village, every other Naruto clone got the memory coming to them and the ones that were stationed with the rest of the team got the same memory. The K were in motion. Were you followed? Asked a man, standing next to two others. The bandit that was carrying a child shook his head, indicating that no one was following them. The three masked men just nodded and took the child that had been abducted. It was a young girl, approximately 3 years in age. She'll do just fine for our purposes. A dozen children, just what Orochimaru-sama wanted. What the hell does that snake bastard want with children? Shouted Naruto as the 6 ninja entered the cave. After taking a close look at the man and his 2 accomplices, the 6 Suna and Konoha recognized them. The 2 in the back were Zaku and Kin, while the one in the middle was Yori. From the looks of it, Zaku had gotten a new pair of arms after Shino had blown his old arms off. Yori turned to the bandits. You said you weren't followed. I didn't know, staggered the bandit. For them not to realize that they were being tailed meant that the bandits must not have been that good. If any of them had any ninja talent at all, like the report suggested, then they must have been academy washouts. The only ninja here were Yori, Zaku, and Kin. Examining the cave, Shikamaru saw cages containing 11 children. The unconscious child that was in Yori's hand made number 12. All the children that had been K were accounted for. Now all that was left to do was eliminate the 3 sound ninja standing in front of them. Unsurprisingly, Naruto was the first one to charge at him, knocking Yori in the stomach as Gaara's sand caught the child, gently cradling it and slightly surprising everyone else that he was actually using the sand to do something other than crush a body. Zaku growled at the intruders. Decapitating airwaves, he shouted, shooting a blast of sound waves from his hand. HMPH, was all Temari said before pulling out her fan. The gust she created was more than enough to knock back Zaku's attack. Kin grinned and shot some of her senbon, hoping to catch one of them in the face, or at least in a genjutsu. The senbon hit their mark, nailing Kankuro in the eye, or at least that's what she had thought. Kankuro's face began to crumble away, revealing it to be just a puppet as the real Kankuro stepped out from the bandages. Shadow Possession Jutsu, shouted Shikamaru, as his shadow lashed out at the 3 slightly dazed sound ninja. They were too slow to dodge it and were now regretting the lighting present in the hideout. Neji. Gentle Fist, 8 trigrams, 64 palms, shouted Neji, assuming the 8 trigrams stance. The resulting attack was enough to cripple the 3 sound ninja and caused Kankuro to cringe a little as he remembered the Hoiga he had to face in the preliminaries. You guys really didn't get much better since the Chunin exams, did you? Asked Naruto with a wry look on his face. Hey, wasn't there another one? Dodo or Dossi? What was his name? Dosu, corrected Shikamaru. I might have K him, said Gaara, causing everyone to take a few steps backwards. The villagers were waiting at the gate of the villages when a mob of orange quickly descended upon their village. A dozen Naruto clones, each carrying one of the K children, passed through the gate as the villagers cheered. Following closely behind were the remaining ninja, prodding the three sound ninja along. After everything settled down, Shikamaru sent a request to the Hokage, asking for an Anbu team to pick up the prisoners. Encased by Gaara's sand, they weren't going anywhere anytime soon. The only question left was, why did Orochimaru want a dozen children? Surely Ibiki would be able to get some answers. Speaking of Ibiki, there were pleasant sounds of pain-filled screams coming from his office, tea-chamber, as he worked his way through the angry mob that had almost killed Naruto, Hinata, Iruka, and Tsuki. So far, he had been able to compile a list featuring the names of just over a dozen leaders of this cult, 100 or so names of members, and another 100 of names of villagers who supported them, but didn't do anything, except not even question their actions. Yarg. Another sound was heard as one of the villagers had their leg twisted in a direction it should not normally be able to go. About 3 days later, an Anbu team finally arrived at the village to pick up the sound prisoners. It was now time for the Suna and Konoha teams to return to their respective villages. Over the past few days, Naruto had spent some more time with Gaara, trying to figure out if the red-headed Jinchuriki was really trying to change. He was. Gaara had truly taken a note from their fight and he was actually trying to change himself into something other than a cold K. It would be hard, especially with how Suna viewed and feared him, but if Naruto could find someone to be his friend in Konoha, then he was sure Gaara could find someone in Suna. Once Gaara had that one person, it was only a matter of time before he had as many people behind him as Naruto did. Thankfully for Shikamaru, there had been a shogi table in the village to keep him preoccupied. He tried playing a game with Naruto and Neji, but they offered him no challenge. Temari on the other hand, while he still ended up winning, he hated to admit that she was pretty good at the game. At least that was enough to stop him from cloud watching all day. Naruto, Gaara said, turning to the Leaf Genin as they prepared to part ways. That boy that I fought in the exam, the one with the green clothes, how is he? Temari and Kankuro looked at Gaara, slightly shocked by their brother's concern. Neji also caught this and tensed up a little. Since the exam, he had gained much more respect for his teammate, Lee, and was hoping that he would come out of his slump soon and take Suna up on the surgery, even if there only was a 50% chance of survival. While he was no longer a firm believer in fate anymore, he was sure that it was Lee's fate to become a splendid ninja and Lee still had a lot of tasks to accomplish. Thanks to you, his fate is uncertain, said Neji, some harshness could be sensed in his voice. Gaara thought a moment. Then for what it's worth, tell him I am truly sorry and that I hope he gets well soon. He was a worthy opponent and I would like the chance to fight him again should he recover. This had not been something the two Suna siblings had expected out of their brother. This also confirmed it for Naruto. Gaara was truly looking to become a better person. Do you think he can actually resist the Ichibi for so long? Asked Kurama. Gaara. Yeah, I honestly think he can. He just needs someone to believe in him, replied Naruto. Fine, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, for now. But if that damned raccoon ever starts to manifest itself again, then I'm gonna be kicking some tail and you're not stopping me. About a 2.5-day trip later, the team consisting of Neji, Naruto, and Shikamaru found themselves in the Hokage's office, giving her the report. It was troubling that the sound was somehow involved in this, but another team would be sent to investigate further into that, once Ibiki managed to get some information out of the captured sound ninja. Naruto left the Hokage's office after turning in the D rank he had been assigned. It was a simple supply restock mission, and he had been assigned to it solo. On his way out of the tower, Naruto caught sight of Shino and Kiba making their way through the streets. It had been nearly 2 weeks since Team 8 had been dispatched on their mission and the fact that those two were standing there meant that Hinata had to be back. Hey guys, Naruto greeted them. Shino responded with a simple greeting, but Kiba only turned his head away. Hey, have you seen Hinata? PFHT, what does the S last like you want with her anyway? Shouted Kiba out of nowhere as he turned his head and looked down. What's got your tail in a knot, dog breath? Besides, who was it that you lost her in the preliminaries? Replied Naruto. Shino instantly stepped between the two of them. Naruto, she's in the hospital, said Shino, instantly causing Naruto to worry as he darted off towards the hospital. Shino turned towards Kiba, who did his best to avert his teammate's look, but Shino could easily pick out a bit of regret and shame in Kiba's face. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.